Hi everyone, my name is Alicia, and as many of you know, I am a certified personal trainer through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. And today I have asked Alyssa to join me, and she is a nutritionist here local in town in Clovis, California. Thank you, Alyssa.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to be here.
So as a trainer, I have looked for a dietitian to refer my clients to for a very long time. And Alyssa reached out to me how long ago?
Oh gosh, probably the beginning of the year, maybe?
Yeah, something like
that. If so, I think so.
We got on a phone call and we learned that we have very similar views when it comes to diet and nutrition. So I was really excited to find her. I feel like she's kind of a hidden gem here in Clovis.
Aww.
And so today I wanted to go over some questions with her that I often get from my own clients. And I always give my perspective and my knowledge and base of nutrition to my clients, but having somebody who is so accredited and so knowledgeable, I think would really benefit my clients as well as just the general population who may be watching this on YouTube.
I'm excited.
I'll have you introduce yourself a little bit. I have a list of questions here. First one being a little bit about yourself, your background, and your education.
Okay, well, first off, I'm Alyssa. I am a registered dietitian, and I have been a registered dietitian since 2019. I went to Fresno State and graduated with my bachelor's in food science and nutrition. And then I went on to do my dietetic internship right after, also with Fresno State. In order to become a dietitian, you have to complete a dietetic internship. It takes about a year long, and you have to basically go into hospital settings, go into food service settings, you go into clinical settings, so many different settings, gyms, community settings like WIC, and you basically just to get to feel out all these different areas where we think we might be able to fit in as a dietitian. And none of those places ended up being where I was fit, so now I've created my own business and now I'm here. So yeah, that's what I did. And then I had to pass a registered exam that year as well to become a registered dietitian. So that's my background. And then my business name as well. I started a business about 2 years ago called, and I actually didn't have the name well at the time. We just kind of came up with that name this last year. I felt like it was really fitting for where the business was going. But basically, it's a weight loss coaching business. And we have 3 dietitians on staff that help many people online, virtually, live healthy and basically lose weight in a healthy way.
So it's you and a team?
Yeah, me and a team.
Very cool.
Small team, but we're mighty. Small but mighty.
So what made you want to become a nutritionist?
Oh gosh, whenever I think about that, it goes all the way back to when I was in high school. And that's actually when I started getting into fitness and stuff. I never really cared about PE or anything and didn't really care about sports. I was not that type of person. But once I was maybe a junior in high school, I started enjoying running and getting into physical fitness a little bit more. And then from there, I started getting into eating and how that was correlated with health and fitness and all of the above. And, I was told all the different myths that we hear every day, like carbohydrates, you shouldn't be eating them all the time. Maybe cheese has too much fat in it, and I really just wanted to understand what really was the truth. And I felt like that meant me going to school for it. And I've always been a foodie. I love to eat too. So it just kind of worked out. And also, I always wanted to help people in some way. So when you combine that with eating, you get a dietitian. It's like the perfect career.
A lot of times when I ask clients, what are you having for protein? Mm-hmm. What sources of protein are you consuming? Surprisingly, a lot of them refer to cheese. What is your concept or what is your thought on that as a source of protein compared to a source of fat?
Yeah, that's a great question. So cheese definitely would have more fat than it does protein. It is a source of protein though as well. So if you're looking for something post-workout, that wouldn't be my first choice. I would say something that's a more leaner form of protein like chicken or something like that we could find. But cheese, if that's all you have, eat the cheese. I'm fine with it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's typically the answer that I would give as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So a lot of my clients, they're much like you. They're a parent, they're a business owner, they are busy, they're on the go. So as a businesswoman, as a mom, how do you maintain a healthy diet?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say maintaining a healthy diet is something that takes a lot of time and a lot of habit formation to do. And since I have been on this journey for a while, ever since high school, kind of understanding what it meant to eat healthy and then actually learning what it really means, when going to school and then seeing my own clients kind of developing my own knowledge. I would say that it's already been formed as a habit in my life. And it's also, to me, one of the most important things to do. You know, if I know that I'm taking care of myself, I know that I can be there for others, be there for my business, be there for my family. And so it's just so important. I just make it happen.
Making yourself a priority.
Make myself a priority, exactly.
Definitely.
And the people around me. Because I feed more than myself. I have a husband and a child that I have to feed too.
That's important.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips or tricks or hacks for people who are busy with work and who are parents and are along the same lines of what we're talking about?
Yeah, so having a busy schedule, it is what it is. You know, it's like you have to have that busy schedule for the most part, especially if it's coming from work. Your work is very important. But making sure that you have a plan is so important too when it comes to eating healthy, since you can't spend so much time during the week cooking. Maybe you're not at home, you're gone all day, you can't cook lunch. Maybe you're super tired after work, you don't really want to cook dinner every day. So it's really important to always have a plan. If you can set aside 1 hour, maybe 2 to meal prep on the weekends, oh gosh, it could be life-changing. Even though in that moment you really don't want to because it's your weekend time, you're gonna eliminate so much stress throughout the week, and you're going to be able to provide that healthy meal for yourself throughout the week too, when you do have your busy schedule. And also planning your workouts. Like with a personal trainer, paying her, putting it on the calendar, like that holds you so accountable versus saying, oh, maybe I'm gonna go to the gym on Tuesday, I don't know.
But do you have a favorite go-to meal prep?
Ooh, my favorite meal prep, it isn't a specific food, but I always love doing sheet pan meals, which basically means you have one pan and then you just put all the food that you're gonna cook on it. Obviously, this doesn't work for every single type of food, so you wanna make sure you find a really good recipe. But you basically can have your vegetables, maybe your potatoes, and your protein right on that pan. Minimal mess, and pop it in the oven, and then it's ready to go for the week.
Quick, easy,
Yeah.
Easy cleanup.
Exactly.
Those are my favorite
No one
type of
likes
meals.
to clean up a mess. I hate dishes so much. So if I can eliminate that for my clients and for you guys, I mean, by giving you tips, that's what I'd like to do.
Definitely.
It's realistic, you know?
Okay, so this is a big one and it's quite a popular one. What are your thoughts on fad diets like keto, Whole30, all of those different Atkins?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And being a dietitian is really interesting because we learn a lot about diets when we're in school. And that's because when we work in a clinical setting, you know, there's gonna be people that are ill that have to be on specific diets. So for example, someone who has heart disease has to be on like a specific heart healthy diet, low fat, low sodium. And then we have someone like may have epilepsy who has to have a keto diet because it helps them not have seizures. So there's that perspective on diets. And I think they have their place, but when it comes to losing weight, living a healthy lifestyle, you're generally a healthy human being, I would recommend, you know, kind of avoiding those fad diets if you can, because they typically have a lot of restriction, and a lot of the times restriction can basically deprive you of certain nutrients that your body needs. And then also it can be very mentally draining to have to restrict certain foods. You'll learn that I really try hard with my clients not to restrict a lot of foods when we meet together.
Restricting is a great point, and I've also noticed
Yeah.
throughout the last few years, I've had clients that ask me my perspective on certain diets, and I've said pretty similar to what you said, that's why we get along so well.
Yeah.
But I've had clients that decide, hey, I want to try this anyway, and I always say, you know, go for it if it's something that you want to try.
Yeah.
And I believe all diets have positives to them and things that you can learn and maybe put into your own daily diet routine, if that makes sense. But another thing I noticed with clients, especially with the keto diet, they would lose a lot of weight right off the bat because, like you said, it is very restrictive.
Yeah.
But then as soon as they went back to normal eating where it wasn't as restrictive, they would often gain that weight back fairly quickly.
Right, and typically that's because they're not really being taught how to eat properly to fuel their body. They're just being taught eat the keto way. You know, you don't really understand, maybe some people might understand, but not everyone really understands what they're doing. But eliminating carbohydrates, restricting that is very detrimental. It can be really hard for your mental health as well. Our body needs carbohydrates, so I'm always promoting, you know, getting those in. And like you said, lose a lot of the weight. A lot of the time they gain it right back because they don't have that knowledge. So it's not sustainable, and you just don't really know where to go from there. So I always say to be wary of fad diets if you can.
Okay.
And get a professional opinion.
I want to touch a little bit more on carb talk.
Okay.
Because again, I love what you say with you need carbs, especially for energy and to function. And that's something I always try and tell my clients. And that scares a lot of people because they always hear carbs mean that you'll gain fat and you'll gain weight. And I feel especially when you're doing strenuous exercise like lifting weights, you need those carbs to sustain energy and strength.
Very much so. So yeah, you're exactly right. And you know what? Carbohydrates definitely have a bad rap. But what I like to talk with my clients about is eating really good, healthy forms of carbohydrates. Because we can look at a carbohydrate and we can say, okay, cake is a carbohydrate, right? And then we can look at a whole wheat bread or some vegetables and fruit and say those are also carbohydrates. So really understanding what are healthy forms of carbohydrates and putting those into our diet is very helpful when understanding how to eat to fuel your body. Especially if you're exercising, yeah, you need to eat carbohydrates.
All this to say, fad diets, it's not so much about finding the fad diet that works for you because, like we've established, they're typically not very sustainable. It's all about finding a healthy lifestyle. So what is your definition or philosophy on a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Like if you think about the word healthy, if I were to ask you what does healthy mean, it's kind of a hard question to answer, right? It's because it's so different for everyone and we all have different goals, but generally just being healthy altogether doesn't just boil down to just food. It's not just exercise. It's, food, exercise, stress management, finding ways that bring you joy in life. And so a healthy lifestyle, I think, encompasses all of those things. And, since my main thing is food, since I'm a registered dietitian, I'm always helping people mainly how to eat healthy, but then incorporating those things as well. And I think the word that comes to mind when I think about a healthy lifestyle is balance, and just really having a really good balance between eating healthy and eating your favorite treats, exercising and getting rest, and then just doing things in life that bring you joy.
And I love that you say that because I've seen people, and I'm sure you have too, who either go way extreme with exercising and they neglect nutrition and balance and their stress levels, or they go the other way and they go extreme with their diet, but then they neglect their exercise and so on and so forth. Yeah. So I definitely agree that balance is key to all of it. Oh yeah, it is. Which is a very overused term, but it's because it's so true. Yeah, it is. And sometimes it's simpler than everyone thinks, because everyone thinks it's like this big secret, like, how do I live this healthy lifestyle? In reality, it is that simple, Okay. Do you allow your clients to occasionally enjoy the foods they love or treats, or is it a no treat plan? Thank you for using that word. So she's using that word because we were talking about cheat meals and stuff. I was telling her that basically I try not to use the words cheat and what was the other word that... I don't remember, but a word like cheat, like when you say you're gonna have a cheat day or a cheat meal, because it puts like kind of a restriction on it, So I was telling her I like to call those things treats because they can be enjoyed. And they should be occasionally. Yeah, they should be. So what was the question? I forgot. Do you allow your clients to occasionally enjoy treats? Or is it a no-treat meal plan that you first start them off with? Oh, okay, yeah. No, they can occasionally enjoy treats for sure. Okay. Yeah, I guess I answered that already in a way. Yeah, you did, I think, earlier too. Yeah. What is a common misconception that you often hear from clients about nutrition and or healthy eating in general? Oh, that's a good question. What comes to mind when you say that is that healthy eating is expensive. And so I feel like that's a really big misconception. People think they need to have all these like special, maybe they feel like they need to have a special protein powder, or they feel like they need to have a special tea, like a weight loss tea or something, like, or they feel like they need to buy all these green juices or something. And these things can typically be really expensive if bought in excess, or and can be overwhelming to a lot of people. But in reality, that's not the case. It doesn't have to be expensive. Personally, a common misconception I hear, and it kind of goes back to what we've established over and over again, which is you have to really restrict in order to lose weight, see results. Right. And that's the first thing I sit down and talk to my clients about when they come in, and we have to discuss nutrition because if anything, it's quite the opposite, because you have to fuel your body in order to be able to push in the gym, sustain, yourself later in the afternoon, because people who restrict by, noon, they can be wiped starving out. Oh yeah, exactly. What is the number one thing that you want your clients to learn when working with you? That's a great question. The number one thing that I want my clients to know is that all foods can fit into a healthy diet, and just understanding what those foods are and how to portion them, and the science behind them is really the key. So I always like to teach that. I love that. Yeah. So one thing that I love that you mentioned is that all foods fit into a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And the reason that I love that is because, as I mentioned earlier in this video, I have had a couple of clients work with a couple of different nutritionists here in town. To be very frank, those dietitians were extremely restrictive. I had one client come back to me and say that her dietitian told her if she had 1 almond a week, then over a series of time, she was gonna gain a bunch of weight. Another woman told me that her dietitian told her she can't eat more than 2 hot dogs a year, which I don't even know where to get these numbers from.
I have no idea. I have no evidence in my brain that says that
I would agree with
that is something you should do, but
another
crazy.
dietitian had gone and told my client that in 1 month she lost 7 pounds of fat but gained 7 pounds of muscle, which would explain, I guess, her weight
Maintenance.
Thank you. And all of those things were so off the wall. And these are fairly well-known dietitians in this area that when I heard those things, it didn't set well with me. So when I found Alyssa and we talked about it and she said things like she just did, which is all foods fit into a healthy lifestyle, that really stuck with me. And that's a big reason why I wanted her here today, to kind of have a word of knowledge from a professional that I trust and agree with on most things with nutrition. Last question I have for you, or at least I think that I have for you.
Okay.
How can someone contact you if they're interested in your services?
So you can definitely contact me at my email. My email is alyssa@wellnourished.com, or you can go to my website, wellnourished.com, or you can head to my Instagram, wellnourished, and there's definitely a little website box there. You can click on that, or a little email box you can click there, and that would be a great way. Or you can DM us. That works too.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Now that Alyssa is giving you her contact information, feel free to reach out if you have any questions about nutrition, about her services. I highly, highly recommend her, if I didn't make that very apparent in this video. Other than that, please like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.